All right, good evening and welcome to Sunday Evening Coffee. I am Brian, and sitting right across from me is my beautiful wife, Crystal. Say hello, babe.
Hey, everybody.
And Jason and Jennifer in the middle chair. Say what's up.
Hello.
Excuse me while I lean around
Right.
twig.
Been picking cotton. So we're in our brand new studio. Wow,
Yes.
look at that. Lots of birds and cotton.
Very outdoorsy.
Cotton picking.
And a ball of balls
Yeah,
behind us.
They're decorative.
a bowl of balls. Yeah, you said outdoorsy, and you have indoor-outdoor chairs.
I do.
Right.
I
The
mean, it's like
tables.
multifunction.
It all came together.
It is. So yeah.
Make
Anyway.
work.
We've been gone for a long time.
We had there's been a lot of things happening in life.
Yeah, today is September 11th,
Yep.
so we have
15
that.
years.
And we haven't had a podcast out for a month, but it's been, 7 weeks since we recorded.
It's
Yeah.
been 7 weeks.
I moved to Montana
Yeah, for a
and came
month.
back.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty soon you
I'm
would have
not-
had residency
I thought
there.
I could have gotten a job.
I know.
And should have.
I should have ordered tables or something. They have all these casinos up there, and I hear the casino girls make great tips.
Yeah.
So, hey.
I'm not sure this is working out in the middle. I feel like I am doing this.
Yeah.
But it's all good for now. Anyway,
So I went to Montana for a month.
yep. We're grandparents.
We had a grandbaby. What else? We moved
We moved. Yeah, we moved.
In the same neighborhood.
in the same neighborhood.
that Jason Jennifer got lost coming over.
We did.
Jennifer officially opened a retail space.
Right.
So let's talk about
going
that
well.
for a minute.
Let's do.
So she is doing some amazing stuff. If you're not in Hendersonville or not within driving distance of Hendersonville, you need to make a trip here to come to her store. Or if you're in a place where somebody's coming, like if you're in North Carolina, my mom and dad are coming, and there's a couple signed orders from over there. Or if you're in Kentucky, we could make some
We could
arrangements
go to Moonlight
for that.
Barbecue and
We
eat.
could. We could just
and
deliver them.
deliver.
Yeah, and
Yep,
she's
we could do
delivered
that.
to Indiana.
Yep.
Yes.
So I mean, her sons are kind of
Yeah.
becoming
Kind of a big
national.
deal. I'm
Becoming
going to
a
have a
big
website
thing.
soon.
Oh.
I mean, or a Facebook page soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly website.
Right now they can see stuff on your Facebook
Yes.
page though.
Yes. Yeah.
So Facebook.com/Jennifer
Canarozak.
Knarozak. Spell that middle.
On a roll.
Right, that's the way most people say it, but
I'm from Kentucky.
So yeah, or just go to the Sunday Evening Coffee page and find her that way instead of trying to type her name out. So that'll work too. So yeah, that's what's been going on. What else has been happening? Jason and Jennifer kept our dog for a month. For
Yes.
us.
Yes.
we got a kitten.
And they got a kitten.
Her
So
name's Biscuits.
the females in that house are excited. The male, not so much.
Yes, exactly. She's everybody's like, "Oh, come look at this! Come look at this!" I'm like, "That's okay. I'm good. I'm good to sit right here." They're like, "Please, no."
She's so cute, though. It's like you can't help but not look at her all the time.
Yeah.
So we're sipping on a little El Salvadorian coffee.
It's really good.
It's good.
It's different.
Yeah.
I like it, but it's different.
Cameron went on a missions trip to El Salvador,
She did.
and this was one of the plantations they went to eat dinner, and it was a working coffee plantation.
Yeah.
So she brought it back.
She did.
And she made sure we knew it cost $20 for the bag.
That's right. Those high dollar
I don't know if
It's
she
a high
needed
dollar.
reimbursement or what.
More than Aldi.
Apparently she wasn't impressed with the price.
Yeah.
But it's good coffee.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's. I don't think there's anything else. The elections are
We're all still married. The
all-
Yes.
election's not decided.
Election's not decided. Although I will say it does seem to be swinging a little bit more towards Trump lately
I
because
really hope so.
yeah,
Me too.
she's a crook.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's
she's
evil.
a
really.
tank top I saw on Facebook that I secretly want to order, but I think I would be gutsy enough to wear it, but I'm not sure. Have you seen it? It has the Republican elephant with a Trump hairdo,
Ha.
and it says
Absolutely.
Trump-looking.
Trump looking.
Oh, you need to get that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Wear it with a blazer, boyfriend jeans, and heels.
Oh, I almost forgot. Also, another business to plug. Crystal is now officially a real estate
yes.
agent. She got her license last Friday.
Whoop, whoop.
She
So
already
I
has.
super know what I'm doing.
She already has one listing and a possible second one on the way, and she's
Yeah.
got some people looking, and so already good stuff.
So if you're in the market to
That's
buy
right.
or sell,
Krista
Yeah.
will be our next realtor for sure.
And what I don't have knowledge on, I have access to someone with a lot of knowledge.
with a lot of knowledge.
And I make up for personality.
And on a side note, she's also doing some decorating. She's going this next week to go and kind of help redo a house, and she's really, really good at it.
Yes.
She did everything in this house on a very shoestring budget, and it
Like
looks
a
amazing.
broken shoestring, like a,
Yeah.
a pair of old kids.
I wouldn't go that
shoestrings.
Like
You did spend some money. Don't try to be a martyr.
it's all frazzled at the
Yes.
end.
Like it's barely holding.
Stretched out from the shoestring.
And however thin it was, I ate it.
You did a good job.
So we decided. Yeah, go ahead.
And one other thing.
Yeah.
Jason has lost like 60 pounds.
Yes,
He's
he
so
has.
skinny. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I need to quit eating. I'm going to be fatter than Jason. Like, I'm going to weigh more than him.
I had my yearly little health screening for work, so in 1 year from September to September, this is what the number that really got me. More than my weight was 11 inches off my stomach.
Oh, wow.
That's like a whole.
11,
That's like
11 inches just.
That's
Yeah.
a sheet of paper.
Right.
Yeah.
The link.
You're right.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So I mean, cholesterol's all came down, all the those kind of numbers. So
And how many
everything's-
pounds?
60.
Well, 60 since January.
since January.
Wow.
And,
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
But,
a
but
celebration.
it just goes to show if you're determined, you can do it.
Yeah.
Because you love food as much as I do.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
still fat, but
Yeah.
but you love food as much as I do, and you just made the choice to do it, and you change your
You
your
live
lifestyle.
disciplined.
I'm not going to call him the food Nazi at our house or anything, but there are days.
But he's the food Nazi.
I could
I'm not going to call him the food Nazi, but he's the
Right.
food Nazi.
Yes.
So what's the biggest change that you've been able to keep that you won't go back on? Like, what's the biggest thing you've cut out, or the biggest food change you've made?
Self-control is
Self-control on sweets.
Yeah.
I'm a big sweet
Because
person.
I was going to say you have a sweet tooth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now, my whenever I do take sweets, I don't like to bring it home. I like to have it out somewhere, have it like a production. You know,
Right.
you get to enjoy it, and then you're done with it.
Right.
So that's the biggest adjustment for me is not thinking that I had to have sweets every single day or every time I went out to the store.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they put the pop and the candies right there at the cashier, and so
don't put pop anywhere out here.
sorry, Coca-Cola products.
You want some pop?
Where's the pop?
So they put those things right at the cashier. So I mean that was my mentality is anytime I went to the store, I could have something like
Right.
that. And
Because he deserved it because he went to the grocery store.
right.
But I think most of us, that's
Yeah.
a common mentality, you know?
Yep. I mean, and you might be. It's getting late. You and this was another thing big for us was not meal planning, and so you're out all day long, or you're just busy. You don't get things going. You bring home a pizza, a Little Caesar pizza, or you run through drive-through, and that's
Or you
that's
go to the
something
Kroger
that-
Deli and
Yeah.
you feed the whole family for $4.99. Maybe you did.
Well, and I told Brian that's what I can tell that I'm missing meal planning and
Yeah.
having a plan and sticking to it and making healthier choices. Because when you're
We
in
make
the rat
healthier
race,
choices, and you save
don't.
money.
Yes.
you
It's
do.
a twofold.
You do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
you really do. Eating healthy is not that expensive.
So to counterbalance your healthy decisions, while I was in Montana for a month, I ate ice cream, I think, every day.
But you did run. So
I
that's
did
good.
run. I didn't run enough because I'm like, oh, everything's a hair tighter than it was. But
Just a little news flash. The whole time you were in Montana, the whole month, I ate ice cream every day too.
that's normal for you.
And you did not run.
For me.
I was at a CrossFit for
also,
6 weeks, so I did go back this week, and it was
He was washing his hair, and I heard him in the shower. He was going, "Oh,
yeah, it was pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Yeah, that's rough.
yeah."
Okay, so we decided just to do questions tonight because it was our first time back, and we just wanted to chat amongst ourselves and kind of catch up. So, but we already have some more really, really good guests lined up and some great stories coming out. So be watching for those too. And nothing's set in stone yet, but we're thinking about doing a 2-night marriage retreat in Pigeon Forge. Probably in the first quarter of next year. Don't know any details, any prices, anything else, but just want to throw that out there. So keep that in mind. I said that on that Marriage Minute yesterday, and I've already had somebody say they were in. So just want to kind of get that in the forefront of people's minds. But So we'll dive in. We did have a question that was sent in back last month that we never got to because we just haven't recorded since then. So the question that came in was, is it okay to start dating before your divorce is final? And further, is it okay to, kiss and hold hands, before your divorce is final when you're dating?
Mm-hmm.
And we turn to the divorce expert.
Oh, wait, that's me.
You're looking around for it.
Don't answer this question in what you've done. Answer it in what the correct thing is.
Well, yes, that's probably good advice. I would have to say no. It's
I would
absolutely not okay because number one, you're still legally married to that person until it's all over and done. But more than that, if you're going through a divorce, obviously something is very broken, which means obviously you are very broken as well.
Even if you didn't initiate it.
Exactly. Either way, whether you are the main cause or just somebody who's having to live with a repercussion, you're not probably anywhere mentally or emotionally ready to jump into that unless you are, outside of the church and you're just living your life however you want at the moment. Anybody who biblically is trying to do things the right way, I can't imagine that you would be at a healthy place.
Yeah, no.
And even if you're not biblically trying to live your life, you still are.
It could be a
really
situation
messed up.
where they've been separated for 5 years or whatever, and they're just ready to move on, and mentally they've already moved on. But still, I think it's best
Until
to
that
finish
technical-
something and then start the next.
I agree.
Well, there's such a strong bond with the marriage. And that's when you're getting divorced. I couldn't imagine how, even if you're not the one who's initiating the divorce, you're still that emotional connection somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Even if you've already disconnected for a year or two, you're still connected. You'll always have that connectivity.
Yeah.
And that's where you as a person, I don't think needs to even be remotely thinking about that next step yet, because then you're then playing on these other people's.
It's like you're
feelings and
rebounding
emotions.
almost. Yeah.
And so I think there's definitely, you would have to have that time of separation and have it to yourself for God to really work on your own emotions and feelings, so that way you can then go on to your next relationship in a proper, in a healthier way.
Because there is brokenness. It doesn't matter if you have
even if you think you hate
you have
them
a
or you want them to
biblical
drop
reason
dead.
for divorce.
Yeah.
There's a brokenness that has to be healed.
And there's a loss. I mean, it's a failure. At the end of the day, it's like a death, except they don't die. Like you're dealing with grief and failure and all
even though
of
you
that.
may want them to.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't.
Most of the time.
And God hates divorce.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's divorce is a nasty, ugly thing. But that's not to say there's not hope after divorce. But I will say, when you really break it down, you look at the context of marriage in the biblical sense. We become one flesh. So until you're no longer one flesh, and you're legally
you're still married.
no longer together, then you're still married. And so I think the short answer is no. I don't think you should date at all until you're divorced. And more than that, I think it takes it to a whole different level if there are children involved.
Yes.
And that's something that I also wanted to kind of rabbit trail off of on this question is, what about when you do get divorced or you're separated, how long do you wait before you introduce your kids when you're dating, and what does that look like? So what do y'all think about that?
Well, I think that in society there's a rash of, overnight boyfriends and everything else under the sun, that there's probably a trail of people in and out for a lot of people, which adds to the instability and adds to the chaos in the house and everything else. So I think until you know that it's moving beyond dating, you protect your kids. Until you know that it's, that this person is going to be long-term in your life or be your spouse or whatever, I think you need
So
to
for
protect
us,
them.
Crystal and I met in April, and I very casually met Edie, not even Cameron, in October.
Yeah.
And I didn't spend any time with the girls at all until January
Yeah.
of the next year. So it was a process, and that was very purposeful, because I think Crystal had people around the girls very quickly, and I think it was a hard situation for them. So I think she was very protective of, no, I don't want to do Don't want to put them back in that situation.
And I think as a especially a female, maybe more than a man, you want to. I don't know. It's almost like you want to have that somebody around, and it's easy to make those bad decisions without realizing the repercussions of what you're doing,
and overlooking some of the bad stuff.
Absolutely. You don't necessarily see the damage in the moment, but later on, you definitely that it was a bad decision.
Because as soon as you introduce that other person into these kids' lives, they've now become part of this.
Oh yeah.
And if they get separated at any point. That then, you as an adult, you could deal with it. But the kids and their emotions at a young age, I can imagine have a hard time of learning how to separate. And that really that models or molds their own personality into their relationship. And they start putting up walls. And as they get into dating relationships, they're going to think, well, every other guy's, come and gone out of my mom or dad's life. So I'm not going to be able to trust anyone,
or to think, well, it doesn't really matter anyway because it doesn't last, so do whatever. You could go either way. And I think that it again, you don't always see it until after the fact. So yeah,
I also think though the situation could be different if you're like 40s, if you're older.
Wait a
minute.
To
I know, right? I know.
We're all in
there.
Wait a minute. If you're in your 50s,
let's say 50s,
with adult kids,
somebody getting married or divorced at a young age of 25, is different time frame, I think, than somebody who's older and knows more about life, knows about themselves. And
right.
I think that's very true.
I agree. That is good.
I think people are still broken, but I think they definitely have a different understanding.
You have a different rationale,
right?
And it's just maturity. So I think that's fair. What questions do you guys have?
I have kind of one. Okay. What if your husband likes to play video games more than not just as this?
I didn't know you gamed.
Right
No.
I've heard people ask questions about my husband likes to play video games all day. I have to call him to dinner. He doesn't like to stop. He stays up till after I go to bed to play video games. What should I do?
Kind of like a hobby that takes place of their family life.
Yeah, they put something else before their spouse. It could be anything.
Yeah, and I don't think it has to necessarily be video game.
Yeah.
To me, so I have to be careful because I know a lot of people that still play video games.
Heavily, they have the headsets and they're online and the whole deal.
And I think it's silly, but it's not my thing. Some people would probably think, stuff that I like to do is silly. So that's irrelevant.
Eating. That's
eating.
really, what are your other hot, no, it's just eating.
Just eating.
No, let's see.
Taking it all away from me. So I think with anything, whether it's ball or shooting or guns or horses or golf or anything else, I think it can't be an idol in your life, right? I think it doesn't matter what it is. And if it becomes an idol and it becomes a point of contention, then it's an issue. And I think you have to sit down and say, okay, you know what? You know that I love to go play golf. I'm going to go play golf one time a week. Here's my time that I'm going to go play golf. You know that. You negotiate that. We all talk all the time about negotiating, right? Whatever it is, we negotiate for it. So we negotiate. We're going to play golf one time a week, and she's going to go shop one time a week. And it's 3 hours, it's 5 hours, whatever that is. And you negotiate that, and that's it. And it doesn't happen any other time. You don't go back in and say, oh, I'm going to go game just for 2 more hours after you go to bed. I always go back to the thing of going to bed at different times and staying up late on the internet, gaming with people. You're opening a door.
Right.
You are.
I agree.
Or maybe not a door, but you're at least opening a window. And I think it's easy for things to happen and to slip in there.
And I don't know. I think number one, I think it's relatively immature for your wife to have to call you to dinner like you're one of the kids. Right. And then it's not the wife's job to parent her husband either. It's like that whole dynamic could potentially be very messed up, I think, pretty easily.
And can make the wife very bitter at her husband.
Absolutely. And probably the husband bitter at the wife for trying to be his mother will act like an adult then, like, I think that there's a lot of
But
layers
this is the thing,
there.
this really happens in
Oh,
marriage.
yeah,
yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
I know.
So
I know.
are you saying the gaming is immature or the action of
the action of having
So
to
like
be
if
called
I was
to
in the
dinner.
garage working on the car, like I had a project car in the garage and I'm working on it and you had to call me to dinner, is that in your eyes the same as gaming?
I mean, is it a one-time thing or is it every
Right.
single day?
No, that's what I'm saying. What if it
I think
whatever
that
it
if
is.
it's a habitual
So the issue is the action, not what you're doing with the action. Yeah, that's all I was trying
gaming
to
could
clarify.
potentially be seen as even more immature.
Sure.
Like,
However,
the reason why I'm thinking about this because I heard this wife talking about this that she has to give a 10-minute warning, a 5-minute warning, say dinner's gonna be ready in
heck
5
to the
minutes.
no.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Heck
talking about.
no.
This is like serious.
I
like,
say
big
eat dinner,
time.
put the leftovers in
Right.
the fridge, and heat it up yourself.
But,
If you
yeah,
even make
there's-
dinner.
So let's have them on. 'Cause there's a whole lot more than that.
Get a box of granola bars and hide them up there, and that's your dinner.
So first of all, why is she giving a 10-minute warning?
Because he's like not stopping.
He
Yeah,
needs
Like,
time to
still.
emotionally
Yeah. Emotionally
prepare, like a
disconnect.
3-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot more going on there, but yes, that's a bad deal all the way around. That's really, really bad.
Oh,
We have some makeup going on.
Oh, look here.
Makeup girl.
look at how beautiful you look.
So if you're just listening, Kaylee just came down. She's showing us her.
She has on some
You
full
know,
face
makeup.
makeup,
Right,
including,
Cameron did.
including some eyeliner and brow pencil.
You look very
She looks
pretty.
16.
And she has on some super cute
And you
tie-dye
can't put any more of that
shorts.
on until you're like 30.
Right.
Just can't go out the house.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that is good because we do hear that. I mean, you hear people all the time that have
Hobbies or in gaming.
Yeah, hobbies in general, but gaming just is a big one that's a point of contention.
I think because it's so easy accessible. Going golfing, you can only go in during daylight time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Your gaming is something that you're sitting on the couch, comfortable in your own living room or bedroom, wherever. And if you're a night owl, you'd be up watching TV, so might as well do something productive or what you like to do. But I think it goes back into what you were saying. It's all about communication and what did you negotiate?
Yeah.
Did you as a spouse? I mean, because gaming could be men or women, but typically the men are ones are the gamers. But you, as the spouse, and that don't like it, did you talk to them? Say, hey, does this bothers me when you're giving all the attention to this hobby, and you're neglecting your family responsibilities.
And once you're aware of that, then you're responsible to
Then
it.
you're responsible, and then it's you as the gamer to man up to say, okay. Let's figure out an opportunity. What's going to work for our family dynamics?
And maybe it's something they used to decompress from work or whatever, but it has to be a realistic,
a
not
time frame.
overtaking your life.
But let's take it a step further and let's just throw another thing out there. So with the gaming thing, how many of those games nowadays are rated mature?
Yes,
Right.
and a lot of bad
90%
language
of them.
Can I just be
have
honest? I enjoy
nudity.
a first-person shooter game. I like the aggression.
But I
don't play 'em,
But they're
but I
ranked
enjoy 'em.
mature too. Most
yeah, they
of
are.
those.
Yeah.
They are.
And so then you have to ask yourself the question: what are you putting in?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
if you're putting in video games, the trash that have the neck because there's naked women on those video games.
Like the codes and all that stuff.
Well, no, I mean just in general now, like those Grand Theft Autos and the games. Yeah, there's nakedness going on.
Naked.
Cartoon
Naked.
nakedness. or digital nakedness.
Which is a whole nother weird thing. We
Yeah,
sat by this
yeah,
guy on
that
the
is
plane
like-
the
it's
other
like
day.
what I
Was in he was in his 30s and he watched anime stuff, like the Japanese anime stuff, the whole plane ride. And I was like, you're way too old to be doing
That
that.
like gives me the creeps.
Me too. Yeah, I know.
Anyway, so yeah, I think that can be a major issue.
Interesting.
Good question, JZ squared. So what are questions did you have? Do you have a question?
I just had a discussion point
Oh, a
because it's something
discussion point.
I'm reading, and it's talking about it, and it seems like it's one of those comments or thought processes I've heard the last couple of months. So how do we make our relationship and our ideal of God not so religious but relational? 'Cause we get so caught up on the religious that I think we lose the relational. And what does it look like in our life?
Now you're meddling.
You mean with?
Well, no, I'm just saying it's like,
with your spouse or with other people?
I think just in general, just
I
in
think
your own
being genuine.
life.
Being genuine with people.
Because I feel like we make it like rules and regulations. I don't know. I don't know. I'm reading this book and it's
I do
making
think
me
we
That kind
got
of
caught
goes
up in
along with
legalism.
today's sermon too, where we live in the Bible Belt area that
Absolutely.
it's so it's the way of life. You go to church every Sunday,
Yeah.
And we know.
you checked it off,
And you speak
Yep.
the language.
and you
We
speak
speak
language.
We're fluent in
language. We all
Christianese.
know.
Yeah.
But
That's-
when was the last time
Glory
that you
to
really
God.
that you really felt loved through Jesus?
Right.
And when was the last time that you get back to that place and stop playing the religious part of it and being genuine Christian that really He called us to be.
Well, because we all struggle with being works-based.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
You know, we do.
Which is
It's
a
performance-driven.
human-
Because you
human
do it,
nature.
don't even realize it.
That's right. Because I think it's so ingrained in what our nature is. We're worried about, are we performing well enough? Are we doing the right things at church? Are we, are we doing the right things at home? Are we doing enough Bible studies with our kids? Are we doing enough devotionals
Rather than
and
God
prayers
loves
with
us
our
if we don't
wives?
do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or are we spending time going, I want to have a relationship with God?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and definitely the sermon today. But this book, it just keeps coming up, and I'm like, okay, how do I make sure that it's not the mental checklist that you don't even know that's what
Yeah.
you're doing, and it's truly the relational side.
And it's also the difference in how you read your Bible, your devotion. Are you reading this 5-minute thing?
Right.
And then you close it.
Waiting for your timer to go off.
Or reading and getting so lost, you're like, oh my gosh, I've been reading for 45 minutes, an hour, I gotta get ready for work.
And the book she's reading is it's Kingdomnomics, and it's the second one. The first
kinda
one,
mind-blowing.
It is.
Yeah.
The first one though really gets into more talking about how we have so much more power than we realize, and we don't operate in it. We just don't operate in what we've been given. The scripture clearly lines out all this power and authority that we have, and we don't use it. Mm-hmm. And if we did use it, the things that we could do, it would be world changing. And so then Kingdomnomics, it goes in and talks about, basically almost it. I don't mean economics from like a financial standpoint, but it does hit on that. But the economical side, what you can operate with in the kingdom, and they're both good books.
Which goes back to if everybody who says they're a Christian and who knows the right things to do and say and the checklist, if we all really operated in the relational side of things with God and then with other people, how different would the world look?
Yeah.
Because, day to day, if we all walked it out the way we're called to walk it out versus putting my, scripture on Instagram or whatever it is that really doesn't matter.
And not
At
that
the end
that's
of it,
bad.
It's not bad.
If
but
that's a
it's just-
reflection of your relationship,
Exactly.
that's different than
But if
I'm going to
that
put
is
it out
your
there. That's
relationship,
right.
then that's the problem.
And we
So-
talked about this last night. I was laying in bed and I said, can I just be real honest for a minute? God has really convicted me over the past couple of weeks.
Here comes the confession.
I am super judgmental. Like, not usually vocally, like in my head. Like, I find myself judging people all the time. And I didn't even know that I did it until it's been probably 2 weeks ago, and I've been just kind of wrestling with it. But like at the grocery store, I'm just going to be transparent. I find myself looking at somebody and judging them based on the way they look, their appearance. By stupid things.
Well, I think it's the human nature.
But
The 3 second you're summing somebody up. You're.
They're overweight, they're underweight, everything. Why would they have their hair that color? That looks stupid. and then I catch
What is wrong with people?
Well, and the crazy thing is
Why are they
now
in the shopping
I'm
cart?
so convicted by it. Like every time I go in the grocery store now, as soon as I walk in, I'm like, I pray before I walk in, God help me not to judge anybody. And 5 minutes in, I start, and God just smacks me. He's like, pray for them.
I
And I'm
judge
like,
people based on
"Oh."
what's in their shopping cart sometimes. I'm like,
Yeah.
why are you buying
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
Good, bad,
I
or
don't.
other.
I
know?
judge them thinking, I need some of that.
No, I do. That's good. That's hard because
Yeah.
I think it's the way everybody thinks. If you're a person with a brain, I think
so.
that's natural.
Yeah.
So but to be aware of it, I'm anxious to see the progress.
And now everyone's aware of it.
Yeah, right.
Right, now we all know what you've been thinking.
Ryan is judgmental.
Some people know anyway. Y'all know sometimes when I judge
Yeah.
people, I'll tell you. I might even, some people I send text to off their Facebook posts,
But
and I'll
no
say,
more.
look,
No more because we're not going to judge anymore. right?
so that's not judging all the time, but anyway.
Jack Harper
not all
told
the
me this is a Sunday school lesson. This has probably been almost 15 years ago, and I still remember it. He said, "What if there was an LED script on your forehead running with all your thoughts?"
Oh,
So
I would be
everybody
done
can know
in a
your thoughts.
day.
I still remember that because I'm like, wow, that's true.
I wanted to write a book once upon a time that was just inner monologue. Like I thought, seriously, if you would take a week out of your life and just kind of keep
Of everything
track
you
of
were
your
just-
thoughts,
Yeah.
that would be a pretty good book.
Or a
Because
pretty bad book.
we all have those.
It'd
those
be
thoughts.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I need to paint that, and then I would think about this,
Yeah.
and then it would just be
Squirrel.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. What was your question?
Ryan would lose all of his friends and probably his job.
So this is
That's probably true.
from our wonderful faithful listener.
You know who you are.
This is it's a little bit more not so depth here, but how can you help your spouse deal with the loss of hair on his head and growth of more on his chest?
Like a treatment plan. There's laser
No,
hair
just the
places.
anxiety of it.
Just the
Bald is beautiful. Sometimes on some people.
Yeah. I'm done.
Pray you're one of them.
Yeah,
Well-
I hope that's me.
well, if you're a words of affirmation person, in your and you know your spouse is that, then that's
Yeah, that's
going to
easy
be
fix.
Build them up.
that's going to be and you just got to always build them up. And
That's true.
Like always.
And don't ever comment on it, say, oh, his hair looks
Yeah.
great. Or they have a
Right.
great head of hair. Don't maybe reinforce.
The bad, yeah.
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 Just
something that they
a
feel
little tip
lacking.
though. I think the biggest thing dealing with hair loss is
Wait, have you lost any hair?
because you have great hair.
thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. That's why Jason's one of my very best friends. He understands some words of affirmation.
I wish I could have hair.
And that's
no.
finally coiffed.
My hair's been such a point of conversation over
Okay,
the past
he-
month. It's ridiculous.
Because you style it now. He uses like a round brush. Like there's a little bit of a process.
This is
now.
pretty intense.
It is.
And you
It's
know
a
why I
real
do that?
hairstyle. I like it, but I'm just saying it's not just like the wash and go anymore.
Yeah.
No,
There's-
but here's the
there's some
thing.
coiffing.
Don't stop doing a comb over. If you do a comb over, stop it.
Just
Stop.
lose it. Shave
If
it.
you have a toupee, just stop. Just stop.
Especially if it's
Yeah.
not the same color as the rest of the hair.
Just be you.
Right.
Just
Not the
own
same
it.
color.
God made
Just
you beautiful
own
the
it.
way you are, male or female, whatever it is. Just own it and stop trying to. Yeah, it's the worst thing when you see people trying to pull it from the back and slide it over.
Yeah.
And
Pull it
Are you
whatever.
talking about Donald Trump?
No, the way his hair's blown, like I don't think he's really balding
I just think
anywhere.
it's
It's just weird
weird.
hair.
Yeah, it's just weird.
I don't
Sort of
think he
cotton
cares,
candy.
though.
No,
No, it's like his trademark.
he owns
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think whatever it is, if you own it and
It's
you're
like-
confident,
Yeah.
It's like Bill Gaither. He's got the cotton candy hair and he gets it fixed all the time because he can't fix it on
He
his own, but
likes
he
it.
just owns it. It is what it is.
But I think when a man is confident, no matter what he looks like, you don't see that
That's
stuff.
exactly right.
I mean, look at all the, hunky, so to speak, movie stars and stuff that don't have hair. And it's not, I don't think it makes or breaks you.
No.
By
It's all in
any
your
means.
attitude and the way
Absolutely.
you present yourself.
Absolutely.
But that is tough.
And what was it
I
about the
can't.
hair on the chest?
I think she's
Well, it's
saying
about-
he grows hair on his
Grows,
chest, but not
yeah.
on his head.
I mean, unless you want to do some kind of weird transplant.
You can. People do. People
Just
do
have
all
like
the
one little
time.
tiny patch.
Well, the great thing about growing hair on other parts of your body is that you can shave
Where are we
it
going with this?
on your chest, But you can shave your
We've gone
chest.
to a manscaping conversation now.
Manscaped,
And
and,
here's
there is a Manscaped Nashville if you
Yeah,
if you
there
want to, go and get Manscaped.
Another great thing is
I don't, what?
I think men without
So
hair
people
look,
do it for you?
Yes,
look great in
yes.
toboggans. They can rock a toboggan.
I don't know what I think about that.
I'm trying to distract you. Okay, and I just have something to point out. The light is not centered to the table. For anybody watching and judging.
The light's not in the video, so I
Okay,
can't
good.
see it.
Never mind. Let's scratch that.
So now you feel silly, don't you? Because I knew you would know
We're
this.
going to move the light. That's the point. Okay. I feel better. I just had to, I didn't want anybody to think I didn't know it was that off center.
So, one more question that we had, because we have just a little bit of time left before we quit, is talking about the tithe. Do you tithe on the gross? Do you tithe on the net? And why?
Gross.
We tithe on the gross.
And why is because he calls us to go on your do it on your first fruits, and so that's your first that's what you would have gotten paid, even if you've got to pay. Because it really, if you didn't take it as the mindset of your first fruits, you could really take it to the mindset of only do it of what your net income is after all your bills.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, because
Not just your
because
taxes or
your
whatever.
taxes you got to pay just like your home.
A tax is a bill, just
Yeah.
like anything else.
And
You should
so
take paid for you.
yeah. But if you do, I've heard people that then tax on their tithe on their income.
Yeah.
Then when
Return.
they get returned.
Yeah.
But if you don't get a return that year, then you're up
Yeah.
creek. And so our personal standpoint is off your gross, and you do that because of your first, and because He called us to do it on your first fruits.
And if you do it off of your net, and you feel it when you jump up to
Yeah,
gross.
we definitely agree with that. That's our
Yeah.
standpoint too. But for years we didn't. We tithed on our net for first 5 years of our marriage, 6
Yeah.
years of our marriage, and
he thought that's what we did,
Yeah.
was off of the return or whatever. Then
yeah, and then we always got money back, and it always ended up at the end of the year. I can't tell you a single year when we were doing that at the end of the year it still wasn't 10% of our
overall
income.
gross
Yeah.
income.
yeah.
So it was a wash, but we got convicted by that and started talking about it and just felt like, you know what, who cares if it's this much more? That's what we want to do, and we want to do the right thing, and we did, and God has always blessed that. The other thing, when you talk about tithe and first fruits, is what else are you tithing on? Because are you tithing on your talents? Are you tithing on your time? I listened to a whole sermon series. I don't remember who it was now that talked about, you have X number of hours in a week. Are you tithing that time back to God, either in spending time at church, spending time working for Him, spending
a good
time
point.
doing things, and
Which can be harder than money, depending
Yeah.
on where you're at in life. Or
your
how-
time, your
yeah.
talents, and then on your talents, are you tithing your talents? If God's gifted you with, the gift of construction or the gift of singing or whatever, you taking that, or you sowing, a portion of that back into kingdom. So I think all those things are important to look at too. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but I think it is. If you look at biblical times, they tithed on everything, on their talents. And
I think
everything.
that too. Something else that we do is we even tithe, like when the girls get birthday money or whatever. And again, because it is an increase for them, but more than being legalistic, it's making sure they have the mindset that anything I get, a tithe comes out of it. Aside from like a Dairy Queen gift card, like I'm not sure. I guess we could buy a Blizzard and give it to somebody or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
If you-
But
I mean,
any money that comes in, we make sure that they tithe on it, where it's their automatic response.
Yeah.
When I get something, I know I have to tithe on
The
it.
exception that we don't tithe on is expense money. Like my expense money, because we've already tithed on that. I'm
Yeah.
paying that out, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm being reimbursed for
Right.
that. So we don't
Yeah.
tithe on that.
No.
And we've had several discussions too through the years. Do you tithe on for people who get alimony, who get child support? Do you tithe on that?
Well, it's income.
It is, but if it's already been tithed on, are you double tithing on that?
If it's already been tied on by who?
Like if you're divorced and your ex-husband's paying you child support, and they go to church and they've tithed on that money already.
Well, wouldn't that be the same thing as birthday money? Because
Potentially.
it could be.
essentially, because you never you don't know what the heart was from the person who it came from. You just know that it came into your life, and now that's an increase to you.
Yeah.
And other than your expenses, obviously, because and that's all stayed in your personal income. But if you are, if you get it as an increase, I mean, that would be all. I mean, you do birthday, you do alimony, you do child support.
All of it.
To me, that's an increase on.
I don't disagree. There was a pastor one time that talked about that he always felt like you tithed on taxable income. And so that's where it came down to is birthday money taxable? Is that kind of stuff taxable? And I don't know. I would always rather err on the side of tithing on it than not.
Right.
But
And I think I don't know that God has like his tax laws out. I mean, I think it's the
Yeah.
heart.
You can
It's
get
a hard whatever you do.
legalistic, that's
It's a
right.
hard issue. Yeah.
I think
more
that's
than
true. A legalistic.
Yes, exactly. And I think humans,
You
we
get in
like
the weeds
legalism.
when we get in
like we
legalism.
like our
Yeah,
rules
exactly.
and
We do.
regulations.
Yep.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
For sure.
But if you
Heart.
keep if you keep the right heart,
Absolutely.
and you know what God's going to require of you personally, then it could because a lot of those extra things could be a matter of conviction for you
Exactly.
personally,
Right.
And that may be just God dealing on some certain aspect
Yeah.
of your life. But it may not be that the next person may not have that conviction,
Right.
And so I think it's really all that extra stuff is really more of a conviction than
She have a heart.
than the heart.
And I agree.
Yeah.
And if you, he will convict you ultimately.
Yeah,
So
you just
That's a
got
good question.
just got to listen to him.
exactly, that little gnawing in the pit of your
Yes.
stomach.
That's the hard part.
That's
Yeah.
what it is.
All right. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I was thinking about this on the way here. In our class, we're doing a Mark Gungor series, and so we're talking about the marriages. And one thing that we do in our class is that we give a weekly challenge. So I thought about bringing the weekly
Yeah, I
challenge
like it.
into here.
Do it.
And so this
We had
weekly's
some fun ones.
this weekly's challenge
Well,
is
what we did was everybody wrote it on a piece of paper and then we put it in a jar. And then at the first week, and then we just draw one.
So y'all submitted
so
all the
yeah.
challenges.
So everyone in
Okay.
our group submitted
Okay.
a
and then
challenge.
everyone does the same challenge every all week.
Yeah.
I like it.
So this week's challenge was do something out of the ordinary for your spouse, and so I think I think we should challenge
Yeah.
our listeners to just do something out of the ordinary that because in turn you doing something for others is getting you out of your selfishness desires, and who better to do that for is your spouse, and so that's especially if you're at odds. And it's always harder. That's always the hard time to do it. But look for opportunities to do something for.
I have to say, Jason is much better at this than I am.
because I'm an active service
Well,
person.
Yeah.
Our thing a couple weeks ago was very similar to. It was like this. It was do something unexpected or something for your spouse. Just one thing. I couldn't think of anything. I really could not think of anything.
She's like, I got nothing.
So he had to go to the auto parts store, and I said, "Well, I'll ride with you to the auto parts store." Because typically I don't like those stores. But
Let's finish the rest of the.
we also went to Joann's.
Oh.
So I did get something.
So you're flying way up here, and then you just
Yeah.
I didn't do very good at it. He watched it vacuumed out my car and everything. It was very nice, but I apparently can't do things unless I get something else out of it.
You got that negotiating thing
Yes.
to a new level.
Right. So Jason is very much better at this than I am.
No, I think that's I think we need to start doing that on the front end too, like talking about it on the front end, and I think we lose people towards the end. So to make sure people do that, and so if you're listening still and you haven't, we love you because you're faithful. And more than that, if you do something unusual for your spouse, email us, tell us what it is, and we'll share it on here. Also, email us questions and email us any ideas you have for things that you want to see or people that you want to hear on here. We've been doing this for a year. Last week was our year anniversary. Michael and Andrea Del Giorno were on, and I talked to him last week about it being a year in. He asked how things were going and stuff, and so a year. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
It's been fun.
Yeah. So check us out on the website, sundayeveningcoffee.com. And to email us your stories or your questions at sundayeveningcoffee@gmail.com. And be watching. We'll continue to our marriage minutes and try to do some different stuff for you guys. So we love you and we thank you for listening. And we'll see you next time on Sunday Evening Coffee. Have a good night.